Hey everyone, we are the Three Princes and we go around looking for things to penetrate deeply.
Intellectual. Welcome to our show. It's going to be one of those days.
It's Dual and Diresh from an SES as well as Mihir from Unilever.
So I've been thinking recently, a designer's job is to facilitate articulation for a client.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
In a design, because not everyone is a designer. Not everyone sees things visually, right?
Sure.
So you need to. That's essentially what you do. That's what a creative artist. That's what a writer does. Yeah. So it is the way of articulating somebody else's thoughts into a commercial piece.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So what are we talking about today?
So today's episode is actually going to be pretty interesting for everyone. We are going to give you a crash course on marketing. Actually, Mihir is going to sit down and give us a crash course on marketing, and
We're going to listen like little bitches.
yeah. And so are you. But yeah, so Mihir has many years of experience actually doing marketing as well as going and explaining this stuff to a lot of different people.
And not just that, it's not marketing in the way we're used to, right? Like we're used to going into meeting clients who are like scraping for budgets and they have to like scratch and claw at whoever to get something approved, something as small as a brochure.
Yeah.
But Mihir works in a place where marketing reigns supreme. So
Over the entire pipeline. And we are going to see if we can give us an approach all the way from 30,000 to ground level on what exactly marketing is, how you can take some information out of this and tomorrow go and make some changes in your company that are going to have long-term ramifications in terms of benefits for you and everyone.
So let me bring both of you down to ground. It is about creating value. Yeah.
marketing.
What we do is to try and create value. As people, we try to create value.
Sure.
I think that's a philosophy of business and that's what we spoke about initially.
And not
as
just
well.
like in life as well.
Yeah, so we are all in the pursuit of creating value for one another, and in business,
And for ourselves.
Yeah, and for ourselves.
Yeah.
In business, we do that by solving someone's problem, and in return, we get paid for it. And this is the fundamentals of everything.
Yeah.
Right.
So the objective is to create value. Marketing over time has been deemed one of the best ways of doing it. But let me just take you back like 2 steps again. We spoke about this in like our first episode, but our essential objective is to solve problems.
Sure.
That's how all things start, right? People have inherent problems, for example, from needing to wash themselves to needing an internet server to get on to go and search, or a search engine to go and search for something. People have lots of things that they need to solve in their day-to-day lives. And as our culture has become more complex, what has happened is those problems have proliferated into many other things. Yeah. So essentially, the categories of problems have just increased and increased because our societies have become more complex and complex. One great way of approaching any problem is essentially finding out what people want, then solving that problem. And by solving that problem, if you do it well enough, you essentially make money. It's a very simple equation of thought process. And that is essentially what we deem to call marketing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said 2 episodes ago, where marketing has been referred to as, I refer to it as 2 things. One is it's a process, and you will see where the process is, and today is about the process.
Sure.
But it is a philosophy of managing business on the other hand. Okay. The philosophy of managing business is essentially know what your customer wants, understand it deeply, provide a great solution for it, and by providing a great solution for it, you get essentially to create value for that customer or consumer, and by that you earn money.
Okay.
So it's basically the final part of that equation. It's like a byproduct almost. It is the fact that you provide value that actually gives you money.
Correct.
Which is why a lot of people say you can't really make money in the pursuit of money. It's you really start making money the more you start focus on what the problem you're trying to solve and solving it better.
Absolutely. So essentially that is essentially bloody marketing. That's it, right? Where people I think tend to go wrong slightly is I think brand management and marketing are very closely equated.
Right.
They have to be, because I believe brand management was a byproduct of marketing.
Okay, let's take a step back. But a brand management essentially means that you have to manage a brand. But what is brand and branding?
Okay, fine. Okay. So, starting at the top again, business process, essentially looking for how to solve a problem.
Yeah.
In trying to solve a problem, we need people to figure out where to go and look for the problem. There is this famous, which is the basis for the Ehrenberg-Bass model, which is people don't buy brands, people buy categories.
Sure.
I would say no, people don't buy brands, they buy categories, because that's how we have categorized solutions. People buy solutions. And we have broken those solutions down into categories.
Right.
Okay. For example, I need to clean myself is a problem.
Yeah.
The category can be skin cleansing.
Okay.
Soap is a category.
Yeah.
Okay. So people first look for what to solve in their lives. Then they look for a brand in the hierarchy of buying things.
Right.
How they approach it now, as a result of this need to solve problems and find solutions, business has created a sub-segment of thought that says, if the solution is known multiple times, or if the solution or the solution that within the periphery of the brand that you're within the periphery of the solution you are looking for, which is the category you're looking for, there are places that you will definitely go for, because over time what has happened is more and more people have tried to solve the same problem. That is essentially what happens. Over many years, everyone wants to get into solving how to clean yourself.
Sure.
Everyone has been looking for solutions. And they have now said, okay, I am one way of solving that problem. There's a second way of solving a problem, and there's a third way of solving a problem. And they have marked them out, saying these are brands that solve these problems.
Okay.
So you see the hierarchy in operation.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
There's a problem, there's a general solution. The general solution breaks down into
Approaches
to solving that problem.
I'd also like to interject over here and say that a lot of this sounds like it's very B2C, but this is pretty much across the board. Even in
Correct.
B2B, you are still fundamentally trying to solve a problem. And when people are purchasing, they are purchasing categories of solutions. They
Correct.
aren't particularly buying a solution. Like, for example, when you pick between something, I don't know if this is a good example, but Teams and Notion, right? You're essentially, what you're paying for over there is not Teams or solution. It's basically a collaborative workspace, which is the category that they're trying to serve.
Correct.
But yeah, moving on.
Yeah. So essentially, multiple people have tried to solve problems, and what has happened is over time, these separate solutions had to get named, or they have to get remembered.
Right.
And over time, they realize that we will call these things brands. Now, brands are nothing new. Everyone has a name.
Yeah.
So therefore, everyone is a brand.
Did it come from the kettle brand, like where you
Might have, yeah. There are. I mean, I don't know whether it's a urban myth or like a myth or it's actually the truth. But irrespective of where they come from,
Oh man, would you look at that? So it comes from burn. Old English brand, burning, also in brand, of Germanic origin related to German brand, also to burn. The verb sense mark with a hot iron dates from late Middle English, giving rise to the noun. There you go. So that's where it's from.
okay. So we know the etymology of the the term brand. Well done. So what happens is let me put it this simply. Is every human being a brand? Like everyone with a name, a brand?
Everyone with a name who is remembered by someone else is a brand.
Correct. Yeah. So what essentially then is a brand?
Anything that is remembered and has a name.
Correct. Forget about the name. Anything that is remembered is a brand.
Sure.
You can give it a name.
Yeah.
Then in the classic
It
corporate,
makes it easy to remember.
correct. In the classic corporate structure of things, it becomes what we call a brand. Okay. So, in the simplest way put, and this is not my thought, and this is Ehrenberg Bass, Byron Sharp, and Jenny Rominak. Says there's this big part in the book that says brands equal, like the equal sign, memories.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brands are memories.
Yeah.
That is essentially what a brand is, right?
Does that
What?
mean that does that mean that brand management essentially is controlling that memory?
Correct. That is essentially the crux of what we are trying to do.
Right.
We are trying to manipulate, correct, propagate a memory.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we have a very rough understanding of how memory works, but forget about the psychology of it. The idea of it is, if people remember you, you are a brand. More people that remember you, you are more valuable.
So the amount that you remember basically is tied to your value.
Correct.
Is that because the only way more people can remember you is because you have provided something of value for a consistent period?
No, I don't believe that. I think there are lots of things that have no direct value to people's lives
That they remember?
but in the act of them remembering it, the individual that has no interaction with the person remembering it, the person they are trying to remember becomes valuable.
Sure.
Okay. I mean, like, why would Kim Kardashian? Okay, fine. That's a bad. Kim Kardashian become a brand. Yeah. Okay, fine. There's one or two reasons, but say there are completely
Nicki
nonsense.
Minaj.
No.
Cardi.
At least she can sing. Say a random cat video that people can remember. But
The piano cat, which is like the cat video on the internet.
okay.
The
Piano
cat,
cat. Yeah.
cat who keeps playing stuff. Right.
Okay, it may
There
it
is
may
an
give,
emotional value.
yeah, there is some value. The thing is the moment you remember something, there is because
there is value that in some like rudimentary way.
there is some value that is being created the moment you remember something.
Yeah.
Okay. I suppose in a way our lives are determined by the memories that we have. Right?
Yeah, for example, like you have a memory of this wall, but you don't really think about it that way, right?
Yeah. But essentially,
It's not you, it's me. Right, moving on.
it's essentially the idea of creating a memory and propagating that memory becomes the crux of what we call brand management, right?
Right.
Oh, so I actually have a little bit of interjection here. For a while now, I've been sort of cradling the idea that humans are tool perceiving creatures.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Like if you ask someone to go into a room and then when they walk out to name things that were in the room, they will name things that they can use, like a table, a chair. a light switch, a light, something like that. They'll never say Persian rug on the floor.
Okay. I have that's a deeply psychological problem, and I'm not qualified to tell you whether that is the truth or not. Some people may, some people may not. I am not very sure. But essentially, there is great utility in the fact that a lot of people know a name or a institute or a item or something like that, because as the number of people who know about that name or institute or utility or whatever, the value of that thing increases. I honestly don't know why that happens, but it happens.
I would, like, off the top of my head, I would think it's because it doesn't only solve one person's problem, it solves a lot of people's problem.
Maybe. I'm again, Dinesh, I'm not exactly sure why it happens, but it happens.
Sure.
We don't know. We don't know why light. Yeah. I mean, we don't know why light bends in gravity, but we know it happens. That's.
No. We know why light bends in gravity, but sure. Let's
leave that there. Let's have that conversation later. But essentially, brand management is the utility to maneuver memory.
Sure.
Okay.
Right. So in that situation, how would you go about creating a brand, or in this sense, a set of memories?
Okay. So so brand management is essentially the utilization of memory. How you get about it is because there are so many variables in a memory. So let's start talking about a brand, right? Say a brand like Coca-Cola. We end up how you do it is we end up, because there are so many dimensions to a human's memory. How the business person approaches is saying, okay, fine. There are 5 to 6 things which is known as a mix that gets implemented to create that memory. Basically, the mix of experience. We call it the marketing mix. To me, it's a mix of experience.
Right. Okay.
That mix of experience essentially ranges from what kind of product it is. So, for example, Coca-Cola is a
beverage,
a reddish brown drink that is extremely chill and it gives this specific sensation. It's carbonated. To how much it costs, to what size of bottle it is in, to where I can get it.
Right.
All of this constitutes a structure of memory around that specific name, which is Coca-Cola. So essentially what we do is, that's where we say marketing and brand management is different.
Right. Okay.
Marketing is not brand management.
Okay.
Marketing is brand management because one serves the other.
Right.
And the other serves the latter. Marketing, essentially, what we call the marketing mix. I call it the experience mix. Okay. You have a name. You have a thing that you can solve things with, and you have a mix of things that say, okay, fine. In order for me to propagate it, these are the things that I have to do. For example,
these are the variables I can play around
with in order to deliver what is known as brand management. So basically what you're doing is utilizing memory.
So wait, I don't get it. Does that mean that the marketing mix is essentially an engine for propagating your brand, or is that half understood over there?
No, it is. That's why I told you brand marketing is, you can define it in 2 ways. It's the business process of understanding what people want.
Right.
That's one way of understanding
Because if
it.
you don't know what people want, then you don't know how to manipulate the variables in the mix.
Right. I mean, you could
Correct.
technically, math, as someone who has a background in math, you could just hit random until you hit something that
Right,
works,
yeah.
right? But
So,
still, not
yeah.
in reality.
Exactly. So what you do is you essentially line up these variables and you create a mix of experience,
Right. Okay.
which ranges from a product to price, you have to buy it, which is place, to what proposition. Coca-Cola is great with food proposition.
I think the best example here in Sri Lanka is EGB Natho Kamepa.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's a proposition.
Mm.
EGB Nathu Kamepa is not necessarily what you call it's not a real thing that people give. No, it's a perceived thought process. It's a proposal that the brand is making to create a lasting memory in somebody's mind.
Right.
Yeah.
For the rest of you, what that means is without EGB, we don't want food. That's what the direct translation is. But yeah, I mean, it's a bit better enunciated in Sinhalese.
So essentially, what a brand does is it propagates what brands do is, or how brands grow is essentially propagate memories. Okay. So we say very simply, there are two ways to grow a brand.
Yeah.
You need to get more people to know about the brand. If you want to become more famous, if you as an individual, say Diresh as an individual wants to create more value, you need to get famous. Becoming famous essentially means I need to be known by more people.
Sure.
Okay. That is the big kahuna of brand. That's the biggest thing that you can do. Get more people to know you, develop value for yourself.
Sure.
Number one. Number two, which is not generally articulated very well, is essentially you say you need to deliver the quality of memory.
Okay.
And the quality of memory differs in what you essentially want to deliver. I'll give an example of this. Okay. You have two watches. You have a Casio and a Rolex side by side. Okay. So now you can remember a Casio?
Yeah.
Both of you can remember a Casio, right? You remember a Rolex? You've seen a Rolex?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What is the value that you aspire to the two?
I mean, Rolex is like one of the most expensive watches. Like, if I was rich, that's what I would go.
Okay. So now, given the opportunity, what will you buy?
Assuming that we have the money to pick whichever one we want.
Yeah.
Definitely a Rolex.
Yes. Okay.
Hands down.
That is the quality of memory.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Now, do both of you know Casio?
Yeah.
That means you already know that. That means the idea of a Casio has already come to you. Or the memory of a Casio is already there in your head.
Sure.
But there's a greater quality of memory with regard to the Rolex.
Okay.
Given the opportunity, you will buy the Rolex. Now,
there's a certain value added to just because it's a Rolex.
exactly. Now let's find out why.
Yeah, that's because
Now let's find out why.
I mean, Japanese engineering is renowned worldwide as being like all the way up there, right?
Yeah.
And I don't even, now that you mentioned, I don't even know where Rolexes are made. Why do I consider
I
it to be-
would assume they're Swiss.
a timepiece is only as good as its accuracy, right? I mean, that is how you would measure its value.
And
But
then wait, let me tell you, a Casio is as accurate as a Rolex.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
To the
must
last-
be,
No,
right?
it's more to do with what other people think of you when you're wearing a Rolex, right? It's less.
That is exactly what I'm saying.
All right,
So
let's
that is the
go back to the
quality.
top.
That is the quality of the memory. So that's
Why
the
do we have different qualities of
when I say it's the quality of the memory, the quality of the memory is essentially, it's not, Casio intentionally may not, as a business requirement, the business model for Casio may not be there to create a Rolex type of memory.
Right,
You
because
can choose the memory that you want to create. The Casio memory might be exactly what is really needed for that business to grow.
because 5 billion people can buy a Casio, but like 3 people buy a Rolex.
Rolex. Correct. Exactly. The business models might be different. The Casio business model is to go to more people.
Yeah.
Now, take the same example. Let's dig down.
Is to be bought by more people, because both of them have pretty much the same.
Memory.
Yeah,
Everyone knows. Like, let's just
everyone
assume,
knows both of them, right?
Say exactly. Say let's just say everyone knows both of them. Now let's see what. Now this is where the mix comes into play. Okay. Let's see what makes one memory different to another memory.
Right.
Okay. First thing. Is the build different? Is the product? Is the end solution different? Both of them tell time.
Both of them tell time.
You tell time.
Yeah. Functionality wise.
They both of them tell time.
Yeah.
They tell them accurately.
Yeah, I never owned a Rolex, so.
I'll tell you that they tell that time accurately.
Sure.
Okay. But are the propositions different?
Yeah, I mean, when you think of Rolex, you think like George Clooney, but when you think of Casio, you think of.
That's the memory that they have built, but like at the very core of it is what they're proposing different. They're proposing two different things.
They are proposing two different.
What are the two different things they're proposing?
A Casio is like something you would wear when you're going to school as a kid.
I will tell you the time, I will tell that accurately.
Yeah.
Proposal?
Sure.
Good enough proposal?
Yeah.
Okay. What does a Rolex?
I'm a rich motherfucker.
Exactly.
Do you know how much I'm worth? Is pretty much what it says.
Exactly. So a Rolex tells a completely different story. The proposal from Rolex is like, that's why, do you realize that, for example, Rolex sponsors America's Cup. You know, America's Cup is basically like you circumnavigate the entirety of the world on a yacht or on a sailboat.
Yeah, leave it up to the Americans to call it America Cup.
And there is I don't know whether CNN or BBC, but there's a CNN documentary that is sponsored by Rolex to cover that entire thing.
Yeah, okay.
Rolex sponsors golf tournaments where Tiger Woods plays it. Yeah.
All gentlemen's
sports. So now proposition for, so that's what I'm talking about is communication. I'll get to that. But the proposition for the two is, one is a timekeeping instrument, one is a piece of jewelry.
Sure. Okay.
I am different. Rolex says I am different. I am affluent. I am wealthy, and by the very act of wearing me, you will project something different. That is the Rolex.
Finer things in life.
That is the projection. That is the proposal of Rolex. That's what you call a proposition.
Right. Okay.
Price. One is 1,500 rupees. One is ₹1,000,000 in Sri Lanka.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Essentially, everyone can buy this.
Yeah.
Very few people will spend money on the other one.
Yeah.
Proposal. Price. Where is the Casio available?
Oh, at the local bookshop if you want it.
Where is the Rolex available?
A couple of shops in the middle of Colombo in like the most fancy of all the places, right?
Mostly, like probably at jewelry stores. I don't know. I've never even looked.
No, yeah. Jewelry stores advertise brands like Rolex, Tag, or Patek Philippe, or Patek Philippe is not a watch. Sorry, but
it is a watch.
Patek Philippe is a pen.
Is it?
Yeah.
There is something Philippe that's a watch though. It's a beautiful watch.
Okay. But essentially, you see where it's available. So one looks for exclusivity. One looks for common availability. Neither of these two are wrong.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah. Both of these are perfectly fine. Both of them make money.
Yeah.
But they make money in different ways. But they propagate a brand. So that's how. So basically, what I took you through is how the mix essentially determines the memory.
Okay, so what else is in the mix though? Like you,
It depends on what industry you're like say for example, FMCG industry would say it's proposition pack, which is the size of the pack. Now, for a watch, there is no pack available.
sure.
Yeah,
Bigger watch.
bigger watch, smaller watch. There's no pack available, right? There's price.
Yeah.
There is proposition.
Place?
There is place. There is I always forget the last one.
People?
No. Proposition, pack, price, product, place. So anyway, there's one more P.
Yeah,
Whatever.
one more P.
Uh,
These are the 6 P's of marketing.
these are the six P's of FMCG marketing.
Right, okay.
If you go into service, classical marketing textbooks will tell you there's, in addition to the general 5 product, price, place, promotion. The 6th one is promotion.
Right.
In FMCG marketing, which is basically communication.
Okay.
So apart from the basic 5 in say service environment, we would say there is people, processes, and physical evidence.
Okay.
So essentially, what applies to a category differs slightly
Sure.
from category to category, or service to FMCG to, like for example,
Industry to
pack
industry.
doesn't matter in trying to sell a watch. The classic pack element, whether it's in 100 gram or 200 gram or kilo, doesn't matter when you're trying to sell a watch. So
But your
don't
packaging.
don't get hung up on the P's. All you need to do is you need to figure out what elements are most relevant, applicable to that problem and that solution and that category. So don't worry about the P's. It can be 5, it can be 7, it can be 10, it can be whatever that you want to, so long as you are very clear about what is applicable to the solution. And depending on the industry that you go into, the business that you go into, it will change slightly. But essentially what you're doing is you're taking brand management, you're saying there are 6-7 applicable variables. These variables I need to move in different directions in order to get me where I need to propagate my business. Now, how brands grow essentially is 2 ways. You need to get more people to know about you, and you need to increase the quality of that memory in whichever direction you want. You want to be known. Quality of the memory is not, I want to be the best quality product it's not that quality. It says, I want to be known as the most value for money watch brand in the market.
Right.
That is, but I have to make sure that is delivered in a very specific way.
Right.
Okay. In general marketing, the quality of memory, the quality part of the memory, we say you need to craft the quality of the memory, because that is what gets delivered to everyone who listens to you. What we need to try and do is always, brand management is single focus is get more people to know your brand first. Awareness is the trumping factor of any brand management exercise.
Yeah, because none
More
of the other
people
things matter, right?
It's a simple idea of being famous.
Yeah.
The more famous you are, more value that you create.
Yeah.
Get more people to know you. As more people get to know you, if the quality of the memory gradually increases, and we have, I know double jeopardy doesn't necessarily explain this exactly, but the likelihood is, as more people get to know you, because you end up spending more money in that memory, the one that you're propagating, your mix. You keep on spending more. The people that will get to know you will end up buying you, and they will have better and better memory. So the quality of the memory will generally increase.
Right.
Okay. So essentially, you are trying to do these 2 things.
Okay.
Now, how do you achieve this? So, what is said in the textbook, which is How Brands Grow, is you need to have a brand mentally available, which is what I was just talking about,
Sure.
which is about quality and
Quality and the
number of people who know you, and it has to be physically available, mentally available, and physically available. Physically available is essentially means once people know about you, they must have an opportunity to buy you.
Right. Okay.
It is not necessarily only about having it in different places. It's about whether it's at the right price, whether not in a watch scenario, say in a FMCG scenario, whether it's in the right packaging size, whether the volume is right for their usage pattern. So you must make it available, easy for people to buy. So the first rule of marketing is make people know what your first rule of brand management is make people know that you are there.
Sure.
Awareness, okay, or mental availability. Then next thing is make it easy for people to buy. Yeah, that is essentially it. That is entirety of brand management.
Right. Okay. Right.
Understand your problem, find a solution, give it a name, create a structure around it through your 6
or
7 or 10 P's.
Whatever P's that you want to use.
Yeah. Create a structure that is easily sellable. That structure includes where you get distributed to what price you are at. Then make sure you make it easy for once they know about you, which is brand management, and make it easy for people to buy you. Yeah. Now, where the thought process differs is now if you sell a Rolex watch at 150 rupees or 1,500 rupees Casio price, the memory that you're building, the quality of the memory that you're building on the 1,500 rupee Casio, 1,500 quality of the memory that you're building on the Rolex will no longer stand because it won't be owned by few people. It will be owned by everyone. If you have the same product, same price, same product, same proposition, you can say, this is it's a piece of jewelry. But the moment you take the price down to 1,500, from $1,000,000 to 1,500 rupees, everyone will say, no, everyone can have it. But now the proposition has completely changed again.
Yeah, when everyone is special, no one is, right?
Correct. Exactly.
So I feel like, okay, Rolex would be a cool example over here, but one person who I'd like to show over here who did this the complete opposite way was the launch of OnePlus. Yeah. It was still a dirt cheap phone. You just had to get an invite.
It wasn't dirt cheap.
It was pretty dirt cheap. It was known as the flagship killer, and it was nowhere close to the price of everything else.
So that's a tactical move. That's very different. Okay, fine. So if you want to talk about OnePlus, I don't know the OnePlus case study entirely. I'm just assuming. If they delivered all the variables of Apple or Samsung and gave it cheap, you're making it available physically for people to buy.
Yeah.
So you're saying that's a classic market entry tactic that has been used for the longest amount of time. Deliver everything that everyone else is delivering. Deliver it better if you can. Then go and peg yourself cheaper and make it available for people to buy.
Yeah.
Physically available for people to buy.
Yeah, but it wasn't, right? You needed to go get you needed to have an invite to go buy.
So that's why they created the exclusivity, I suppose.
That's where while you understand the flow of marketing, the structure of brand management easily, the permutation and combinations that you can make to deliver it is infinite. Right. That's why not everyone does it, and people who do it, there are clear variables in people who do it well and people who do it badly.
Right, it's a high risk, high reward sort of strategy.
No, it's not high risk, high. It's not only high risk, high reward. It's about the nuances that you need to be aware of are like multiple. Like for example, pricing. The detail that we go into, like for example, pricing detail is not about whether something is expensive or cheap. We look at what is the optimum conversion rate from A brand to B brand. We look at what is the absolute rate, what is the competitive rate, what is the price per gram. We look at 100 variables before we get into understanding what price. So the nuance of each of these P's, it's like, okay, fine, let me put it analogically. You can learn, say, a martial art or learn a weapon. Okay, you can learn it basically, and you can learn it deeply.
Competitively.
Yeah. So, for example, competitively or deeply.
Yeah.
If you learn it deeply, that means the nuance of that learning is tremendously great.
Right.
Same with marketing. You can understand the core crux of it. It's very easy to understand the crux of it. It's a problem solution to brand management to manipulating the piece.
Right.
But those variables are highly nuanced, highly detailed. The combinations are extremely difficult to manage, and that's why brand managers are highly paid in corporate environments, and that's why you recruit specifically like really high quality individuals in those roles, because they need to contend with so many variables.
Right. So they're constantly doing a multivariate
Yeah,
analysis of
everything, literally everything. Exactly what I'm saying. So the crux of it is very simple. Yeah.
Because okay, so now that you mention it, price can somehow affect promotion, and then there'll be a fall off of the promotion that will affect the pack size and so on and so forth, right?
You can,
You could literally take any two and then
and
hit factorial over there. That's the amount of stuff that you need to be dealing with.
and forget about any two and hit the factorial on it.
The 3, 4, 5, 6,
No,
all the way
in
up, right?
every one, there are 100 variables. Every one. Like, for example, pricing. So, for example, the way we look at pricing versus competitor. We look at prices versus conversion rate. We look at price versus on absolute term. Price
What do
per
you mean by
gram.
absolute term?
No, like, what do you have to pay for to get something, like an absolute price?
Right, okay.
Price per gram, because somebody might be giving the absolute. I'll use soap. One soap, 100 grams, 50 rupees.
Okay.
2 rupees. 50 cents a gram.
Yeah.
Okay. One soap, much better soap.
Right.
100 rupees, 25 grams.
Okay. Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Absolute layoff is the same, but you're getting a much smaller bar of soap.
Right.
Essentially, that happens. You can do variables within variables within variables within variables until you're the cows come home on this one.
Yeah.
So is there in your experience, is there a point where you've gone too far? Like it's too deep.
Oh yeah.
It's no point going that deep.
We are known to it's very easy to go too far because there's a lot of data available and there's a lot of knowledge available and there are lots of, that's why we are generally moving into very evidence-based marketing where something works, we use that and we codify it and we move on to say this is the way it works, this is the way it should be working in the future as well.
Right.
But doesn't happen all the time. Can people go too far? Absolutely. There are many examples of going way too far with a piece of marketing where it comes out of the fact that you don't completely understand the consumer you're talking to, nor do you understand the problem that you are trying to solve. But essentially, yes, there is something. Overanalyzing is a classic problem in most of.
Yeah, I feel like that's what I'll do if I was a brand manager.
You can go on and on and on.
Yeah.
You can never not stop doing this.
Yeah.
But essentially, what you need to do is you need to establish the principles that your brand works on, basis the 6 P's and what you want to achieve, which is memory and availability, and create a structure and do microgranular corrections to ensure that you keeps on propagating or growing over time.
So I've got one last thing. So I mean, I think that gives us all a really good idea on what exactly marketing and branding actually entails. But there's one last thing that I would really like to throw your way and get your opinion on, and that is equity, right? And by that I mean brand equity, which is the methodology that I would state you would use to measure, right?
How well your brand is doing.
Yeah. Can you tell a little bit more about what exactly brand equity is?
Okay, so equity is one of the it is one of the most used word, the most vaguely understood in my view.
I feel so too. I feel like it's just a buzzword.
Because so like people say this brand has great equity. What does it really mean? I don't think most people do. I mean, like if you really want to trump up a marketing professor, please go and ask them what equity is, and they will completely fumble. They will say things like it's what the relationship between a person's memory, not a memory, they won't even use that word. They'll say the relationship between the brand and the person, and how much affinity they feel, how much loyalty they feel towards it. It's all cock. There will be a lot of woo-woo in equity. But classic equity, I describe it in three things. Okay. First thing is 3 measurable specific things. First thing, is your brand known? Is your brand in the consideration set for your category? Yeah.
So basically, do they know you to buy you?
Yeah. So if you take a soap, say, tell me names of 5 soaps.
Lux, Sunlight,
Dove. What do I use? The Rani thing. And Lifebuoy. There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little bit biased.
That's what we call
Unilever products, I think.
Yeah. No, but that is what you call spontaneous recall. You have not been aided to think about it, but you know you are in the consideration set.
Right.
So there are 3 levels of recall. First level of recall is called top of mind.
Okay.
Which is basically what you said. Lux. Do you use Lux these days?
No, but mom has like a stack of them at home.
Okay, so it is available in your house?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So that's why top of mind is generally not considered, because top of mind has a very strong correlation to penetration and share and sale. Because generally when the brand is top of mind, that means it's generally the brand that is being used at the time.
Okay.
Or you have a very close association with it. Getting there is the best thing to do.
Sure.
That means you are getting used at some point or the other.
Yeah.
If you can't get there, because there are so many proxies, we don't look at that. Because the proxies are penetration and share and sale and all that. We say at least in the consideration set, unaided consideration set. Okay. So the first thing you need to look at is, are you available mentally unaided in the consideration set to solve your problem?
Okay.
First thing. That's the first thing. Are you remembered?
Sure.
Second thing is, are you bought on a regular basis? Or are people buying you? Not a regular basis. Forget about the regular. Are people buying you? Is the population that you're talking to buying you? Forget about the regular basis. Right now, at least once a year, 6 months, every 6 months, or whatever. Are they buying you? Which we measure through something called penetration. There's a definite number for it. It's a running study always done in normal marketing circles.
You can check the show notes. We'll be putting how exactly that works. Yeah.
So there's penetration. Number 3 is, are they buying you more than anyone else?
Okay.
Which is share.
Sure.
Okay.
Explain that one a bit.
So, everyone understands market share?
Yeah. So it's basically that.
Yeah, essentially that. It's market share.
So it's first, do they know you? Then are they buying you? But that's not enough. Are they buying you versus your competitors?
Because it's equity, no?
Yeah.
It is it's the value that you are giving to that. Like, lot of people may know you, lot of people may buy you, but lot of people may not buy you better than anyone else, more than anyone else.
Someone else might be bought.
So then there is, so that's where A brand and B brand, the equities differ.
I feel like that's a great equation for figuring out, right? Because it's the 3 levels. It feels like almost a Maslow's hierarchy level stuff.
Yeah.
The first level is just to be known. That's enough. As long as they know you, that's good. But then after that, if they know you but they aren't buying you, what's your point really, right?
Yeah.
And
So-
if they are buying you, if you aren't the best, by that you mean like if everyone else is not worse off than you,
Yeah.
then you have so much more room to grow, right?
Yeah.
And those are the 3 principles that you can basically use to guide your...
And when you say a brand has equity or it is growing equity, you are essentially saying, are these 3 things moving up?
Right, okay.
Do they, when you say
It's not enough
this
for
brand
one
has
or
more
two.
equity than the other brand, it essentially means these 3 numbers are higher than the other 3. If you take brand A, brand B, these 3 numbers are higher than the other 3, the
And then the
numbers of
same
the other 3
3
brands.
numbers,
Yeah, right, okay.
And it's not enough for 2 of them to be higher.
No, you can have 2 of them being higher, 1 of them being lower. I mean, there are again a lot of permutations.
Okay.
But what you need to understand is essentially, if you answer these 3 questions, you understand the standing of your brand in the
Sense of
solution
equity,
set
sure.
or the category set.
Which is, I feel, a large part of what... I think it's an important... Not a large part, sorry. It's a point that a lot of people miss, which is that marketing and branding and all of this works... like marketing and branding, all of this, right? It works within the space of everyone else. Right?
Correct.
Everyone, I mean, I feel like even when I was entering marketing in the beginning, it was all about, oh, what does my collateral look like? All of that. But never did I stop to think,
Yeah, it
what
was-
is everyone else in the market doing?
Yeah,
But the thing is, you don't exist.
it was mostly like a me situation, right?
Yeah, that doesn't work.
It doesn't.
Because you can be me, and
Yeah.
then realize that, okay, somebody else is doing something much better than me.
Yeah.
And if somebody else is doing much better than me, that means they are getting more penetration. Like share and penetration are highly
One of
correlated.
these is higher. Basically.
All of these 3 things are highly correlated. Yeah.
Yeah.
If one grows, the other grows, the other grows.
Sure.
Yeah, in that hierarchy. And like the cool thing
Because
is,
with the first one, you're essentially dealing with mental availability, right?
correct. First one, you're dealing with mental availability. Second one, you're dealing with a subset of
Physical availability.
physical availability. Like for example, I'll give you a simple like a rule that we run. Say you have spontaneous recall growing. Your awareness is growing, but your penetration is stagnant. It can be that your pricing is incorrect. People know you because you're advertising like hell, but you're just too expensive to buy.
Sure.
People may know you. You might be in the wrong pack size.
Right.
People may know you, but wrong pack size, availability.
People might
You may
know
not be
you, but-
available.
Yeah, you can't find it.
Anywhere to
Yeah.
buy.
Yeah.
So price, availability, pack size, from awareness to, say for example, your penetration is growing, but you are not gaining share. You are this doesn't happen very often. Generally, when your penetration it depends. It depends largely. So, for example, like countries like India, your penetration can grow, but your share may not be stagnant because your category is growing. Everyone is buying into the category,
Right.
new category, but people are not buying you more.
Okay, sure.
You understand that?
Right.
So, say for example, say in India, soap penetration is at 50%. Next year it goes to 55%. That means all the brands in that set are all growing penetration, but brand A versus brand B, brand A
That
is
stays stagnant.
that's the share stays stagnant.
So
Penetration is growing up, share is stagnant.
Right.
That means people are buying you, yes, because the category is growing and there are more people buying into the category, but people are not buying you specifically.
Basically, any soap at that point would
the
do.
growth is not completely yours; it's shared among all your competitors.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now that too is a problem.
Sure.
For a marketer who's handling a brand,
Yeah.
that too is a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, from penetration to share, it can be, again, the entire mix can be a problem. That means they're buying you because you are the most available soap, but you are a shit soap. So the moment your competitor increases distribution and increases the places it goes into, instead of buying you, they are buying that.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. So amidst the three things that we set as equity, there is a definitive way of like the mix acts within those equity sets.
Okay.
So essentially, equity is those three simple things. Are you known? Are you being bought? Are you being bought better than everyone else? And if all of these are ticks, if you say I am better than everyone else, that means you have a strong equity. If it's coming down, that means you are a weakening equity. If you are lower than the other brand that is in the market, that means you have a weaker equity than the other brand in the category.
Right.
That's essentially about equity. I mean, like if you want to screw up any like most old time 80s, 90s marketers, just ask this question, they'll fumble over their feet.
Right.
Because this is generally not known. This is not entirely, the thought process is not is largely derived out of, again, the Ehrenberg-Bass model, and because of what we know about how brands grow, and again Byron Sharp and Jenny Domenic and that school of thought. But I, of course, have not seen this structure being put in place. So this is a point of view from me, and there might be other points of view as well. So I'll leave that as a
Take with grain of salt.
Yeah, take with a grain of salt. As in, see whether there are other options available as well.
Sure.
But how I define equity in a market is essentially this.
Okay.
Because these three things say whether your memory is strong or not strong.
Sure.
Which ties back to the initial, which is the number of people who know you and the quality of the memory. Right?
Correct.
Yeah. So I guess the key takeaway from all of this is that you just need to get people to buy more from you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Don't worry. The fundamental, I think the last point of view is ensure that more people buy you. That's it. Ensure that more people, first of all, know you, then buy you, then they end up buying you better than anyone else. Then your marketing problem is solved.
Right.
Basic focus is that. And
That's essentially the entirety of marketing you will learn in most university courses, in like really good universities.
Right.
Most bad university courses will essentially teach you something completely crap, in my perspective, because I've read some of these courses and they are cock and bull.
Yeah.
But essentially that is the general thought process on marketing.
Okay.
But remember, this is just the structure.
Yeah. Yeah.
The permutations are endless.
Sure. Definitely. Yeah. Let's.
as with anything that is worth doing, right?
Yeah.
There's enough,
Anything that has more than two variables is kind of like that.
multivariate stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. So,
Tuning in, it's like we're on a fucking
yeah,
radio. What
we
you
aren't
talking
really
about,
on,
man?
we really aren't on radio. But
Thanks for clicking on our faces.
yeah, that's the one. But yeah, all right. So if there's anything else you guys would like to ask, you can drop us an email. It'll be on the show notes. Yeah, see you guys later. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the show. This was all about marketing, and if you would like to know more, all three of us would suggest you go read a book called How Brands Grow. Now, I've dropped a link in the show notes, and we consider it the Bible of this field, and everyone should read it. This also is an affiliate link, full disclosure, sponsored basically. No, not really. But yeah, if you use the link to go get it for yourself, you get give a little bit of commission to us, and you support the show in your own way. And also, it'll help you. Guaranteed. Alright, thanks for tuning in, guys.